that is what the objective of today's session is, that we will be starting today with the mutual fund segment, friends. To start with, friends, see, mutual funds, if we talk of mutual funds as an asset class, mutual funds started in India in 1964 with the formation of UTI, Unit Trust of India. UTI was the first mutual fund of India, and from 1964 till 1987 there was only one mutual fund, that was UTI. US 64 was the first scheme of that particular fund. In 1987, friends, in 1987, government took a decision and allowed government banks to start the mutual funds, and State Bank of India was the first mutual fund to start. SBI Bank was the first mutual fund to start this. So in 1987, PSU banks were allowed to start their mutual funds. In 1991, friends, you are aware that in 1991 we adopted LPG policy, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization policy, and in the year 1993 we opened the mutual fund sector for private players also, and Kothari Pioneer was the first private sector mutual fund. Kothari Pioneer in the year 1993 set up its first private sector mutual fund, which was later taken over by Principal Mutual Fund. And in 1996, SEBI for the first time announced the guidelines for mutual funds. Thus, if we take a mutual fund historical framework, four dates are very vital, which I will quickly recap. 1964, Unit Trust of India was formed, and with that mutual fund started in India. US 64 was the first scheme. 1987, PSU banks were allowed to start mutual funds, and SBI was the first to start its mutual fund. 1993, private sector mutual funds were allowed, and Kothari Pioneer was the first private sector mutual fund to start. And 1996, SEBI declared the guidelines for mutual fund industry. So these are the four main important deadlines as far as the mutual fund industry is concerned: 1964, 1987, 1993 and 1996, friends. Now we come to the structure of mutual funds. See, a mutual fund will primarily consist of three players. Three components are there in a mutual fund. The first is the sponsor. Sponsor is an entity, friend. Sponsor is an entity that creates a mutual fund. Always remember, sponsor is an entity that creates a mutual fund. Sponsor would be one who has a net worth of 50 crore rupees. In India, to start any financial entity, it is linked with your net worth. Earlier, the net worth required for starting a mutual fund was 10 crore rupees, but then later it was increased to 50 crore rupees. So an entity who has a net worth of 50 crore rupees can start a mutual fund, and that entity is called as a sponsor. Once the sponsor has formed a mutual fund, the second step he will do is basically create a board of trustees. Board of trustees consists of eminent people whose main task is to see and ensure that mutual fund does not do any activity which is not in the interest of unit holders. So second component of a mutual fund would be the board of trustees. And once this is done, finally an AMC is created. The third entity is the AMC, Asset Management Company, which is the main, I can say the main entity which does all the decisions of economic research, buying, selling of stocks and generating returns for the mutual fund investors. So basically AMC is the third entity who will decide which shares to buy, when to sell, and that entity, friends, ultimately is responsible for the returns we earn from mutual funds. Thus, in a mutual fund structure, there are three entities. The first one is basically sponsor. Sponsor is the one who creates a mutual fund. For becoming a sponsor, a net worth of 50 crore rupees is mandatory. Second is board of trustees, whose job is to ensure that mutual fund does not do anything which is not in the interest of unit holders. And the third entity is basically AMC, Asset Management Company, whose objective is to just ensure, whose objective is to see that the returns are created, returns are generated by mutual fund, and it consists of fund manager and his research team. So these three entities or these three players ultimately form a mutual fund structure. So mutual fund will consist of these three entities. Now we'll try to understand the types of mutual funds. See, there are seven main categories of mutual fund. There are seven main types of mutual funds. The first one is equity diversified mutual fund, friends. Equity diversified mutual funds are the most important mutual funds which will generate highest return, because here 100% of the investment is done in shares only. So 100% of the asset allocation goes towards goes into equity shares. The second category of mutual funds is the balanced mutual funds, in which 65% of the total corpus will go into equity shares and 35% will go into debt securities, or 50% in equity, 50% in debt, depending upon what kind of asset allocation permission has been taken by the mutual fund at the time of registering the scheme with SEBI. So either it would be 65-35 or 50-50. That is called as the balanced mutual fund, in which investments will be done in shares also, as well as in bond, debentures and debt securities also. The third category of mutual fund is debt mutual fund, which will invest 100% of their assets into debt securities only. So that is basically called as a debt mutual fund, in which government bonds, securities, corporate bond, debentures and other things would come into picture. The fourth category of mutual fund would be basically the index fund, friends. Index funds are those funds which will invest in a predetermined index. Say for example, BSE 100, BSE Sensex, BSE 200, BSE 500. So they will select an index and just try to copy that index. So in an index mutual fund, friends, the return of the fund will be same that of that particular index whom it is trying to mirror. The only thing in index mutual fund is basically that tracking error. What kind of tracking error is there? And tracking error normally is not more than 0.5%. So that means if the index is given a return of 14%, more or less your fund will also give you similar kind of return. So that is why index funds are very popular. Then if you see, the fifth category of mutual fund is basically the sector funds. Always remember, friends, sector funds are the highest are the funds in which there is highest amount of risk and return. That means in a sector fund you will have very high returns if that particular sector performs very well, and at the same time your capital may incur huge losses if the sector does not perform. So sector funds are typically for those people who want to have high risk return ratio. The sixth category after the sector funds are basically the tax saving mutual funds. See, tax saving mutual fund, friends, are those mutual funds which will invest 100% of their asset allocation in equity markets only. But here the only difference is they will have basically a lock-in period of 3 years. Always remember, they will have a lock-in period of 3 years. That is something very important. If you have a lock-in period of 3 years, you get that income tax benefit under section 80C. So this is something, friends, we have to keep it in mind. Finally, if you see, the last category of mutual funds is basically ETF, exchange traded funds. Exchange traded funds are those funds, friends, in which basically in exchange traded funds, they are those funds which are listed on the stock exchange and you can buy them as units in your demat account. So they are called as exchange traded fund. For example, as HDFC Gold ETF is an exchange traded fund which invests in gold. So that kind of ETFs you can buy straightway from the stock exchange and you can basically store in your demat account. So these are the broad 7 categories of mutual fund, friends, in which you can invest based on your risk return appetite and based on your objective. Please understand, friends, the main benefit with mutual fund is it gives you lots of options to select from. So based on your objective, you can select funds and you can basically plan out your portfolio. In a quick recap, I'll just quickly recap all the 7 categories. See, the first was equity diversified mutual fund, in which 100% of the investment goes only into equity shares. So they are called as equity diversified mutual funds. The second category of mutual fund is basically the balanced mutual fund, friends, in which 65% of the corpus may go into equity shares and 35% into debt securities, or 50% in equity, 50% in debt, depending on the kind of permission they have taken for that asset allocation. The third category of mutual fund is basically the debt market mutual funds, in which entire 100% investment goes only into debt market. So that is called as a debt market mutual funds. The fourth is index funds. Index fund will invest only in a particular predefined index. It could be BSE 100, 200 or our most popular index, BSE Sensex. The next category of fund could be a sector fund. Sector funds are those funds which will invest the entire amount of money in one particular sector only. So they are typically called as a sector funds. Sector funds are those for those who want to take high amount of risk and return, friends. Always remember that in a sector funds, the entire money will go in one particular sectoral shares only. For example, say Reliance Banking Sector Fund, UTI Pharma Fund, Religare PSU Fund. So here the entire money will go into the shares of that particular sector only. So if that sector performs well, yes, the fund will perform well. But if there is a problem in the sector, yes, your capital may be taken for a toss. So it's a high risk, high return game. The next category what we had discussed was tax saver mutual funds, in which if you invest the tax saver mutual funds, then there is a 3-year lock-in period and you get a reduction, income tax reduction of 1,50,000. And lastly, friends, if you take after tax saver mutual fund, the last category is basically called as the ETF, exchange traded funds, in which basically if you are investing in an exchange traded fund, you can directly buy those mutual funds from the stock market platform, and those units will straightway come in your demat account. So these are the 7 major categories of mutual funds, friends. Next, now if we see the what I can say methods of investment in mutual fund. See, there are 2 methods by which you can invest in a mutual fund. One is basically what is called as a lump sum method. Lump sum method refers to those where you have a lump sum money, say 20,000, 50,000, 1 lakh, you invest and you forget it. That means lump sum is a method where only one time investment you are doing, and once you have invested that amount, you just let that amount grow for as many number of years as you want. So that is called as the lump sum method of investment. And the second method is which has become very popular among the common man, common retail investor, is SIP route. SIP is systematic investment plan. SIP refers to, friends, where minimum 500 rupees will be debited from your bank account every month on a specific date, and that money will get invested into stock market. So that is typically called as the SIP route. SIP, systematic investment plan, friends, why it has become so popular? The simple reason is, friends, that when you are investing through SIP, friends, when you are investing your money through the SIP route, you are getting the benefit of rupee cost averaging. Rupee cost averaging refers to that when each month your amount gets invested, on a particular date, you are basically buying. See, in this month the markets may be at a high, so you are buying at that point. The next month the markets may be at a low level, so you are again buying at that level. The third month the markets may be at sideways, again you are buying. So basically your cost of buying will go down. So when your cost of buying goes down, obviously when markets turn to be bullish, your profits will magnify. So that is how basically the buying, particularly the buying aspect takes place, and that is why SIP has become a very popular tool. Here, friends, one thing I would like to highlight. See, lot of people ask me this question, okay, sir, whether direct investment in stock market is beneficial or investment through a mutual fund is beneficial. Friends, please understand that how do I answer this question is based on 3 factors. See, you have to ask yourself whether you have these 3 things, then yes, stock market, direct investment in stock market will be suited to you, or else mutual fund is the best option. See, number 1, the first factor you need is time. Do you have sufficient amount of time to devote to stock market? Because stock market needs your time and attention. You cannot make money in stock market just by putting trades arbitrarily. In that case scenario, you will definitely incur a loss. So first thing required for investment in stock market is your time and attention. Are you in a position to give sufficient amount of time and attention? That is the first thing. Second, knowledge. Knowledge is very important, friends. Do you have sufficient amount of knowledge so that you are able to know what is happening in US, what is happening in Europe, what is happening in uh, what are their monetary policies, what are the geopolitical tensions, what results Indian companies are going to give, what is the interest rate scenario in India. If you are comfortable with this kind of data, knowledge updation and other things, then yes, friends, this is something very vital which you can try it out. That is, knowledge is the second most important thing required if you want to basically invest in a, if you want to invest directly into stock market. That is the second thing. The third particular thing required is basically capital, the most important part. See, today if you buy one Reliance Industries, it is of 1900 rupees. So if you buy even 10 shares, you have to pay 19,000 rupees to the broker. Are you comfortable shelling out such money in one shot? Obviously many people may not be comfortable with. So basically stock market is for those people, friends, who have time, sufficient amount of time to devote to the markets. Second, knowledge. They are well aware what is happening in India, abroad, what global things are taking place, what Indian government policies are. And the third vital factor is basically capital. Do you have sufficient amount of capital for basically doing investments? As I said, okay, one share of Reliance will be, say for example, one share of Reliance is 1900 rupees. Then are you in a position, basically, friends, to get pay 19,000 rupees in one shot for 10 shares, and for 100 shares if you want to buy, you have to pay 1,90,000. So are you comfortable doing those things? If your answer is yes, then definitely, friends, stock market is your place. But if you are short of capital, if you are short of knowledge, or if you are short of time, then in that case mutual fund is the best answer for you. Because in a mutual fund you don't have to devote time. There is a full time fund manager with his research team who will basically devoting his full time. You don't need knowledge to apply, because fund manager has complete knowledge to decide which shares to buy, when to buy, and which shares to dispose of. And the third factor is capital. In a mutual fund there is no burden of capital, because you can invest as low as 500 rupees a month through systematic investment plan, through an SIP route, friends. You can invest just 500 rupees a month and you will be able to invest successfully, create a portfolio. See, friends, in mutual fund the biggest benefit is that a mutual fund will invest money into 50 to 60 companies. So basically you get the benefit of diversification, which may not be the case when you directly invest in stock market. Because in a stock market, if you directly invest in 50 to 60 companies, obviously you will be needing lot of capital to create such a diversified portfolio. So that is the prime difference between both the instruments, friends. In mutual fund, basically you don't have to have that kind of pressure, because you are not alone. Even with a 500 rupee investment, you are becoming owner of 50 to 60 companies, because you are not alone. There are lakhs of investors who have invested small amount into the mutual fund. So that is why mutual fund occupies an important place. Please understand, friends. Sneha, please switch off your mic, Sneha. So as far as mutual funds are concerned, friends, always remember that they have become popular. The simple reason is this, that in a mutual fund, there is absolutely no pressure on your wallet. You did not give time, you did not give, basically you did not give time also, you did not have knowledge also. And with a minimum investment, you can still get the benefit of diversification. That is why mutual funds of late have become very popular. Now we come to the current scenario of mutual funds. What is the current scenario of a mutual fund? See, as far as current scenario goes, friends, there are 43 mutual funds registered with SEBI as of now, and which is a large figure, friends. 43 mutual funds are registered as of now, and more than 1000 schemes are there. So there is plethora of options available for you to invest in variety of schemes, depending upon your objective, depending upon your financial planning goals. Each month you will be surprised to know, friends, each month around 8,000 crore rupees is coming into Indian stock markets through the SIP route. 8,000 crore, huh? Believe me, it's a huge amount, and this amount primarily refers to the common man, a common investor, a retail investor. The simple reason is that why he likes mutual fund is because one can start with as low as 500 rupees a month. So that makes it accessible for investors across all sections of the society. They are easily able to invest in a mutual fund through the SIP route, and that is why mutual funds now have become, friends, a strong backbone of our Indian stock markets. Just to give you a insight, in this pandemic situation, that is from January 1st till date, if you see, foreign institutional investors, FIIs, have withdrawn 25,000 crore rupees net, 25,000 crore rupees net from our stock markets, whereas Indian mutual funds have invested 39,600 crore rupees net in our markets. So basically in these 6 months, mutual funds have been net buyers to the tune of 39,000 crore rupees, whereas FIIs have been net sellers to the tune of 25,000 crore because of this coronavirus global pandemic. So just imagine a point, friends, that if this 39,000 crore rupees of buying would not have done by our mutual funds, where would be our stock markets? How severely it would have crashed? In the last 5 years, friends, if you see, in the last 5 years, the dominance of our mutual funds have become very strong as far as Indian stock markets are concerned. If we take an example of 2018, the whole year there was US-China trade war. So foreign institutional investors were always withdrawing money from our markets, and they were net sellers to the tune of 32,000 crore rupees. They have not invested anything, rather they withdraw 32,000 crore rupees from Indian stock markets. But you will be surprised, even in that year 2018, BSE Sensex gave a positive return of 5.6%. Why? Why did we give return positive return of 5.6%? Because mutual funds invested 1,20,000 crore rupees in our markets. Mutual funds had invested 1,20,000 crore rupees. So that basically shows, friends, that our mutual funds have virtually become very strong, and they are in a position, friends, to primarily counter the foreign institutional investors, and that is something a very positive sign for our markets. Now we'll understand the scope. See, currently, if you will see, in India, there are 35 crore people who have PAN card. Now, why this data I am talking about? See, in India, we have around 130 crore plus people who have Aadhaar card. So, Aadhaar card is not a problem. But for doing any kind of financial investment, you need a PAN card. And out of these 35 crore people who have a PAN card as well as Aadhaar card, so that means document wise they are eligible to invest. In that particular case, friends, current number of investors in mutual fund industry is only 2 crore. Yes, there are only 2 crore people in India who invest in a mutual fund, and there are 4 crore people who have demat and trading accounts, that is who invest in stock market. So just imagine a point, friends, that if these 2 crore people who are investors in mutual fund, if this figure becomes 5 crore, 7 crore, 10 crore in the coming 3 to 4 years, just imagine where will our markets go, and will no longer we will be in a requirement of these FIIs, foreign institutional investors, which are typically the fair weather friends. They, on the first sight of discomfort, they immediately withdraw the money, and on the first I can say first sound of a good news, they start investing money like anything. So they are typically fair weather friends. If things are good, they will be with you. When things slightly become difficult, they immediately desert you. So this is something, friends, we have to keep it in mind. So mutual funds of late, friends, have become the backbone of Indian financial markets and a confidence to Indian retail investors. See, today an investor wants to create wealth, and why mutual funds of late have become popular, one of the key reasons is, friends, that interest rates in India are going down. So in the current scenario, if you want to generate a 10% plus return in order to create wealth for yourself, mutual fund is one of the best instruments with which you can invest over a longer duration and create wealth at a reasonable lower level of risk. Always remember one thing, friends, that risk and return go hand in hand. Yes, direct investment in stock market may generate very high returns, but at the same time, the risk involved is also extremely high. Whereas in a mutual fund, what will happen is the returns may be decent in the range of 10 to 12% or at 15%, but the risk is very less for the simple reason that you are getting the benefit of diversification. See, there are 5 major advantages of mutual fund. 5 major advantages. Let us try to understand them. The first major advantage of mutual fund is, friends, diversification. See, any mutual fund portfolio, if you see, the average number of shares in which they are investing is 50 to 60. So basically, the average number of stocks in which they invest is pretty high. So that gives you the benefit of diversification, and as there is diversification, automatically risk reduces. The risk component goes down. So that is the first and the foremost important thing, the benefit of mutual fund, that there is diversification which reduces the risk. The second aspect is basically decent return. If you see, if you take any average mutual fund also from 1964 till date, the long-term average return is around 12% or above that. So in the longer duration, it normally gives you return double that of a traditional fixed deposit. Fixed deposit, if it is giving you around 6 to 6.5% return, mutual funds may give you around 10 to 12% return, which is a decent return to create wealth in the long term. The third category, the third benefit of mutual fund is liquidity. Liquidity means, friends, whenever you want your money back, you put a redemption request and within 3 to 4 working days you will get your money back. So that is basically called the liquidity aspect. So that is called as liquidity. So within 3 to 4 months your money will get deposited in your bank account. This is the third important aspect what you need to keep it in mind. The fourth aspect, if you see, of mutual fund is taxation. Yes, unfortunately, just before 2 years back, the long-term capital gain tax was introduced. Otherwise, there was no long-term capital gain tax in our mutual funds. Mutual funds after 1 year were completely tax-free. Currently, there is a tax of just 10% capital gain, long-term capital gain tax on that. So that is the fourth thing which you have to keep it in mind. And the fifth benefit of a mutual fund is, friends, that ultimately, if you see, it has a professional management. Professional management means there is a full-time fund manager, his research team, which will basically be ensuring, which will primarily try to ensure that you get good services, good investments are done at reasonable, very lower cost. As a result, there is some professional who is looking after your money, so without disturbing your routine life. So these are the five major advantages of mutual fund, friends: diversification, decent return, liquidity, taxation, and professional management. And that makes mutual fund one of the desired instruments for your long-term wealth creation. See, always remember, friends, the simple fact that in the year 2004, the total asset under management, that means the total money managed by mutual funds, was only 1.5 lakh crore rupees. It was only 1.5 lakh crore. And today, that in 2020, that figure has reached 27 lakh crore rupees. The figure has reached today. So you can very well see, friends, that where is 1.5 lakh and where is 27 lakh crore rupees. So that itself shows, friends, that mutual funds has been successfully accepted as a part of retail investors portfolio, since it is very easy to invest, it is long term in nature, and without taking much risk you are able to create sufficient amount of capital appreciation for yourself in the long term. One thing, friends, I would like to highlight here: whenever you invest in stock market or mutual fund, always keep one thing in mind, that both will perform if Indian economy performs. And if you see last 20 years, Indian economy's performance has been highly satisfactory. See, our average GDP growth has been in the range of 7.5 to 8% as compared to world average of 2.5 to 3%. Even in this current pandemic situation, if you see, friends, even IMF is confident that India will be one of the major ray of hopes, and our GDP will outperform that of the world economy again. What had happened in 2008 global financial crisis, when our GDP was 6.3%, world's average was 1.5%. 2011 European Union crisis, where our GDP was 7%, world GDP was 2.5%. And 2015 China crisis, where our GDP was basically 7.5, world average GDP was 3%. So we have always outperformed the world economy by a sizable margin in terms of our GDP growth rate. So this is something, friends, we need to keep it in mind. Plus, always remember that whenever you do an SIP, friends, always do multiple SIPs rather than only one SIP. Example, you want to do an SIP of 5,000 rupees a month, then these 5,000 can be bifurcated as: you can do a 2,000 rupee SIP in an equity diversified fund which has more of large cap stocks. You can do an equity diversified fund SIP which has more of a large cap investment. So that is one thing, you can try it out. Then you can basically make a 2,000 rupee SIP in an index fund. Ultimately index always rises, friends, always remember this. Before 20 years, if I tell you, when I was a student, I have seen BSE Sensex at 2,800. Will you believe it? BSE Sensex at 2,800 and NSE Nifty at 950. And today see what levels they are. And again, if you see, in the long term, friends, mutual funds will always perform. So this is something you have to keep it in mind, that in mutual fund, if you are investing with a longer term perspective, there is no doubt that you will not generate returns. Only thing, yes, you need to be patient about it, because NAV will rise also slowly and will fall also slowly. So obviously the risk return will match. You will get decent return, but at relatively lower level of risk. So this is something, friends, you need to keep it in mind. With this, friends, I would like to submit my part, and now we can have question answer session. Please post your questions in the chat box. I will be able to answer all the questions. Okay, the first question which has come is, Please explain capital gain tax introduced in mutual fund. Sheena madam, see what has happened. Before 2 years, there was no long-term capital gain tax. If I put it very simply, suppose I invested 1 lakh rupee in a mutual fund before 2 years. I am talking first of that scenario. Before 2 years, I invested 1 lakh rupee and I got 2 lakh rupees back after 1 year. So that entire 1 lakh rupee profit was mine. There was no tax to be paid on that. Today, what is the scenario? Today, if I basically invest 1 lakh rupee and after 2 years I am getting 2 lakh rupees. So what is my profit? 1 lakh rupee is my profit. On that, I have to pay 10% long-term capital gain tax. That is 10,000 rupees as LTCG I have to pay. Remaining 90,000 becomes my profit. So 10% on the amount of profit has to be paid as tax. And long-term capital gain tax means anything you sell after 365 days is called as a long term, and anything you sell before 365 days is a short term. So this is something you have to keep it in mind. Yes. Then basically, how to select which mutual fund is best? Then please suggest some good public and private MF. Okay. If you have enlist top 5 mutual funds, what will be your choice? You see, all the 3 questions are somewhat near to each other. So I will answer all these questions together, which will clarify everybody's doubt. See, basically, there are 43 mutual funds in India, friends, but it is very obvious that all funds may not be good and may not be performing well. So primarily speaking, I prefer these funds, which I am right now basically typing here. See, basically ICICI Mutual Fund, HDFC Mutual Fund, then Aditya Birla Mutual Fund, then Tata, SBI, Axis, Franklin Templeton, and basically DSP BlackRock. These are very good mutual funds as far as Indian mutual fund industry is concerned. But only point is that when you invest in these mutual funds, try to go basically with the scheme which has more of a large cap diversification. See, always remember friends that what happens is in a mid cap or in a small cap mutual fund, in mid cap and small cap, when the markets are doing well, those stocks and funds tend to do well. But when markets are bad, they will give you huge negative returns. For example, 2018, in 2018, when FIIs were net sellers, the Indian mutual fund industry also had lot of problems, and mid cap mutual funds had given a negative return of 14%, small cap mutual funds gave a negative return of 24%. Only large cap mutual funds gave a return of 4% positive, and index gave a return of 5.6%. So please understand that as far as mutual funds are concerned, in mutual funds also try to go with something which is large cap in nature, friends. That is something very important. Going through banks for mutual fund is good enough. Nazia madam, please understand that ultimately no bank is selling a mutual fund. They have done only distribution tie-up. So whether you go through a bank or you go through a normal mutual fund distributor, it does not make any difference. So whatever is comfortable to you, you can basically do that. Again, I will repeat this point for cost of repetition, that Indian banks are not allowed to invest a single naya paisa either in stock market or in mutual fund. Whenever you find, see, we take an example, HDFC Securities. HDFC Securities is a subsidiary company of HDFC Bank. HDFC Securities has taken the license of BSE NSE, but it is a totally separate company and it has nothing to do with that of HDFC Bank. So through HDFC Securities, you invest in stock market, you invest in mutual fund, you invest in insurance. But that doesn't mean that you are investing through HDFC Bank. HDFC Bank is a separate legal entity. HDFC Securities is a separate legal entity. So here, whenever you are investing even in a mutual fund through a bank, actually you are not interacting with a bank, but you are interacting with a bank subsidiary, which is a separate company under the broker category. Yes, Sina madam, your question is, will the new tax regime have an impact on mutual fund industry? No ma'am, this rule has already come 2 years back, and even after that the AUM of mutual fund industry has only gone up. See, paying 10% tax is nothing. If you are earning a decent return of 15%, then what is the problem in paying just 10% on the profit? It is not on the total investment. So suppose I invested 10 lakhs and my profit is said 2 lakh rupees, that is 12 lakhs is my gross fund value, but my profit is 2 lakhs. On that 2 lakhs I am paying 10% tax, so that is only 20,000. So remaining 1,80,000 becomes my white money income and profit. So rather that will help you to strengthen your balance sheet. So it has nothing to do with that. Then it comes equity or debt or mixed funds which should we invest. See Urmila ma'am, basically please understand that whenever you want to select a mutual fund, you should basically select a mutual fund based on your objective of investment. Say for example, your objective is long-term wealth creation, then you should always go with equity diversified mutual funds. If you are not a risk taker, if you feel that it is better to play slightly safe, then you can go with mixed funds, what is called as a balanced mutual fund, in which 65% may go into equity markets and remaining 35% may go into debt securities. So primarily you will have to take this kind of a call. The third is, Vanisha is asking, as a customer, what ratio of share buying from secondary market and mutual fund buying will be recommended? Vanisha, this again, as I told you, will differ from person to person, and it will again differ from what kind of domain knowledge you have. For example, if you take my own example, I have mutual fund SIPs running with a maturity of 30 years. So that means I will redeem that money when I am 61. I am very clear in that because I am confident that India will grow as an economy, and if India grows, obviously stock market will give you good return. But along with this, what I do is that every month or every 2 months, whenever the markets are down, I buy good quality stocks like Reliance Industries, HDFC Bank, HDFC Limited. So I accumulate those stocks. So that is another strategy for creating long-term wealth. See, please understand, friends, that stock market and mutual fund are for long-term wealth creation. But yes, how much proportion will you invest in direct stock market or in mutual funds will primarily depend upon your ability to give time, knowledge, and your funds availability. That is something most important. Smita madam, please understand, long-term capital gain tax up to rupees 1 lakh is exempted. Yes, see basically if you have a profit below 1 lakh, yes, it is exempted, but please understand that go with this only, that in the long term obviously you will be making a profit of more than 1 lakh rupee. See, if you are investing even 5,000 rupees a month in a mutual fund, and if you do a 25-year SIP, your total profit will be, your total income would be around more than a crore rupees. Yes, you can check it out on any SIP calculator. 5,000 rupees monthly invested for a period of 25 years, you see the kind of earnings you get. So that would definitely be a huge sum, and on that you will have to pay 10% long-term capital gain tax. SIP is good. Which SIP? Sir, you can do, Kishore sir, you can do basically any kind of SIP which you are comfortable with. You can primarily go with an SIP in say HDFC equity fund. You can go with an SBI blue chip fund, or you can go with a Franklin Templeton blue chip fund. Any fund which has a large cap stock orientation, in those kind of mutual fund SIP, you can surely do an SIP. Only thing is that try to keep the duration as long as possible. That is what my humble request is. The longer the duration, the more is the power of compounding. So ultimately you will make good amount of wealth. Okay, Vanisha madam, I got your CWM is Chartered Wealth Manager. So you are asking, as a Chartered Wealth Manager, what ratio of share buying from secondary market and mutual fund buying will be recommended? Ma'am, here please understand that even if you are a Chartered Wealth Manager, or even if a Chartered Wealth Manager has to recommend, he will have to obtain the data of the client. Client profiling will decide what kind of investment is suitable to him. For example, if you see, simple example we take, suppose the person is of 30 years, he has a good stable job, he is yet not married, so the question of children does not arise. So in that case, he can invest up to 70% in direct equities, he can go up to say 10 to 15% in mutual funds, and remaining he can go with fixed income securities or debt securities. But if a person is in the range of say 40 plus, where he is married, he is having one or two children, in that case he will have an asset allocation of 50% into debt securities. Out of the remaining 50%, he can go with 35% in direct stocks, and remaining 15% he can go with mutual fund investments. And suppose a person is nearing 50s, in that case 70% of his allocation will be in debt securities, and out of remaining 70% he can go with mutual fund, because obviously in mutual fund the risk level is far less as compared to direct investment in stock market. So please understand that when you are directly investing in stock market, your risk level goes up because you are directly facing volatility. In a mutual fund, there are 50 to 60 companies in which the mutual fund has invested. So obviously you will be having relatively lesser amount of risk because diversification is there. So based on client profiling, his age, income, and his expenditure pattern, you will be able to take this call. Yes, friends. Any other question, or shall we call it a day? Okay, friends, then well done. Tomorrow again, why invest in mutual fund over stocks? Neelam madam is asking, ma'am, I have answered this question many times, but I'll simply repeat it. See, the simple logic, that's why you will invest in. See, basically, investment in mutual fund, it is beneficial in three ways. First, even if you don't have knowledge, you can invest in a mutual fund, because simple reason is that there is a fund manager along with his research team who is investing, who will be taking care of your portfolio. You don't need even time, because he is devoting his full time to invest in mutual funds. And third is basically you can invest minimum 500 rupees a month, so there is no pressure on your wallet. So because of these three reasons, friends, mutual fund will always score slightly above direct investing in stocks. See, in stock market, when you invest, you need sufficient time to devote it. You need knowledge what is exactly happening at global level and Indian level, then only you will make money. And third is you need more capital. So if you are short of any of these things, then mutual fund is the best suitable option. And if you have this thing, yes, then you can go with stock market. Sir, if my child is 15 years today, what is the best way? See, ma'am, Kinnari ma'am, my simple suggestion to all academicians and even to general investors is that at least do a 5,000 rupees SIP with a 20-year horizon. Trust me, you will be securing your child's future like anyways. I am investing in mutual fund SIP since 2007. Since 2007, this is my 13th year which is running, and I have seen that ultimately in the long term you are sure to make money, for the simple reason. See, it is very simple that when in mutual fund, when every month you invest now, you are actually buying at all levels. So when you buy at all levels, obviously your average cost of buying will go down. So when your average cost of buying goes down, obviously you will be making more amount of profits in the long term. So please keep this particular point in mind, friends. So that is why in the long term, mutual funds always outperform stock market from a common investor's perspective. See, please understand, friends, that every retail individual is different. See, my philosophy, my investment theory will be different than yours, because I have an outlook regarding, say, economy. You may be having an outlook regarding your immediate future. A third person may be having an outlook regarding his child's marriage, which is, say, 5 years down the line. So the perspective will differ, and when the perspective differs, your asset allocation will automatically differ. Uh, Kinnari ma'am, your question is how much fees we need to pay to mutual fund manager? No ma'am, you did not pay anything. That is the best part in a mutual fund, that you don't have to incur any cost except for the investment what you are doing. The entire fees is paid by the mutual fund to the fund manager. You don't have to pay anything. At the age of 55, which investment is good? Kishore sir, obviously at the age of 55 you are basically nearing your retirement, or any person who is nearing the retirement, your 80% allocation should be done in FDs, provident fund and fixed income securities. Only 20% you can invest, and in 20% you can go with a mutual fund asset allocation. Because at when you are nearing your retirement, friends, it is better you play more safe. Yes, if there is a second generation, your children are well settled, they are earning well, then you can do a say 10 to 15 year SIP in their name, because that would be a more ideal kind of situation. At the age, last question, at the age of 25, what should be the time period of investment? At the age of 25, friends, see, again I'll tell, the younger you start, the better it is. So at the age of 25, you can easily do a 25-30 year SIP, and trust me, by the age the child or the person becomes 50 years, he will have sufficient capital to live his retirement life very comfortably. Actually, this is what I have done. I have my all SIPs with a maturity of 30 years. 30 years. I have already completed 13, 1 3. Remaining 17 years are there. Trust me, put it for long term and you will make money out of it. My contact number, friends, I am giving you. In case if you want to invest in stock market or mutual fund, you can definitely contact me. There is no problem. 9820717803. That is my mobile number, and my email ID also. I'll try to give it to you. Just 1 minute. This is my email ID, friends. My contact number, my email ID. You can call me at any point of time for guidance, clarification. No doubt in that. Thank you very much for patient listening. Tomorrow we will meet with some other topic. Thank you, friends. Thanks a lot.